Lesotho's Independent Electoral Commission seems to find itself in disarray. All 3 electoral commissioners' contracts have expired, and almost 2 months later, they are in office without valid contracts. The situation has further deteriorated after the Director of Elections, Dr. Letholetseng Ntsiki, was suspended for insubordination without immediate effect.
The suspension of the Director of Elections, Dr. Letholetseng Ntsiki, has sparked fierce national debate. 3 IEC commissioners' 5-year tenure of office has lapsed. Their contracts have not been renewed, but they say they have a legitimate expectation to remain in office.
It indicates in very simple terms that where the political parties have not forwarded names and 30 days have elapsed or expired, then Council of State shall recommend to the King one name for the chairman, 2 names for other people. So here, instead of the 5, is only 3. And who are those? Of course, it's this chairman and the 2 commissioners. That's the law. It's binding.
The Director of Elections was on the receiving end of failing to comply with commissioners whom she deemed illegally occupying the office. She was immediately suspended.
Look, honestly, there's no way we can work with somebody who tell us to the face that you can jump in the lake. I'm going to stay put here. How do you do that?
The acting Minister of Law and Constitutional Affairs says that while the process is underway to address the matter, the situation in question is tantamount to a constitutional crisis.
And now what should have happened is that all the stakeholders should have sat down and met and then discussed the issue, and the State Council is advised accordingly to advise His Majesty. I have to admit that, unfortunately, we haven't done that process. All the stakeholders, the political parties, government, we didn't get to that stage. So it has created this tension or this challenge, which is kind of a constitutional crisis now.
The Parliamentary Cluster Committee says that the Commissioner's claim of legitimate expectation does not hold any water. They are claiming that there is no gazette that removes them as yet.
No, it is the Constitution that set the limit. Like here in Parliament, if someone doesn't dissolve us as Parliament, but the Constitution says Parliament shall be dissolved after 5 years. So if someone decides not to dissolve it, but there's no Parliament, because the Constitution says that Parliament is not there, therefore their contract is not there. So they don't have to be gazetted out, because there's a limitation, there's a constitutional limitation that says they cannot be in office more than 5 years unless it's renewed.
The process of firing the Director of Elections or suspending?
Well, how can someone who doesn't have a legitimate right to be in an office have the power to fire someone who's got the right to be in the office? I mean, that's how chaotic a system can be. I mean, they cannot fire a Director of Elections because they don't have any claim to that office.
While the legal tussle for legitimacy of office continue, the IEC staff live in fear of possible consequences of whether to carry out illegitimate instruction or whether to face possible disciplinary action for insubordination. Rapelang Khatebe, SABC News, Lesotho.